Now, we're probably going to run over. We're going to try not to, but we got a lot to cover here. I'm Sandra Shelton. I think most of you know me. I retired from Pangea in 2019 and wondered what I would do with myself. I was born in Nashville and got a BA from Vanderbilt University in art history. What I did was start looking at buildings around me in Nashville, taking photographs and digging into their history. I didn't start my chronicling, though, until after retiring, so I have had to pull images from other places for a lot of this presentation. Peggy was chronicling buildings long before me. She's also a native of Nashville and has been painting since the age of 9. She studied art at Memphis State University in the late 1970s, and she graduated cum laude in art and English from Belmont University. She's had numerous exhibits, awards, and coverage in the media for her plein air painting. She has set up in front of so many threatened buildings, most actually demolished, that Tim Walker, head of Metro Historic Commission, calls her the canary in the coal mine.
Thank you, Sandra.
Our paths have crossed at some of these locations, and we found so many common interests, even though we're 12 years apart. She's the older one. She's an artist and a keen observer. I'm a researcher, historian, and photographer. Just so you know, I've identified the photos of Peggy's paintings with her title and the date she painted it, not to be confused with the date of the building that will follow, I hope, correctly. And we may run over. We have a lot to cover. So, Peggy?
Thank you. I began my plein air painting at Memphis State University, painting in the rural area outside of Memphis, an old barn I thought it was, and the neighbors let me know that that was actually the Eads' first post office for the little town of Eads. And that sort of community informing me what I'm painting has persisted through all of these years. And it occurred, well, we haven't gotten there yet, but this silo is typical of the beginning of my work, where I would go out into the country. I loved, as a child, when we were, my generation could really prowl the woods and the fields when we were young. And I did that, and I still have a great love for doing that. And as a young woman, I began finding countryside ruins where I could set up and paint and really study the old architecture that was abandoned in the countryside. And I found this silo on the side of the road, and above it I found the milk barn. And what first caught my attention was the domed mansion that was in ruin. I didn't get a chance to get there. I was so delighted that Sandra followed my footsteps and found that these places are still there at this estate that she'll tell you about. I didn't get a chance to paint the domed mansion because they began to refurbish it before I could get there. But I was very glad to do these two, the milk barn and the silo.
And Centennial Hall, there on this property, was originally the Knights of Pythias Pavilion at the Tennessee Centennial Exposition of 1897. Joseph Parks Jr. purchased the building, dismantled it, and moved it by horse-drawn wagons to its present site. It was his Grandview Dairy Farm. It was reassembled and wings added. Joseph brought his beloved to the site and proposed, but she refused, calling it a monstrosity. He never lived there, but continued to operate the dairy. In 1920, the Carlyles purchased it and continued to have a dairy. There were stories of their children roller skating through the hallway in circles around that central round room. In 1984, it was purchased by Vanderbilt professor Tomlinson Fort, who had Manuel Zeitlin advise on renovations and design a small addition in the rear. Dr. Fort married my friend, artist Nancy Blackwelder, under the dome. I was in the lovely home many times. After Dr. Fort's death, it was purchased by a couple who added even more rooms on the back, but they've lovingly maintained the hall and have plans to restore the milk barn.
Oh, this was, I spied this old train shed at the corner of Chestnut and 4th Avenue. It was demolished in '95. And my friend, Ann Tiley, fellow music maker and painter and longtime friend of Sandra's, we first explored this site and were promptly mugged. And so I only was able to come back and work there through the invitation of these brick cleaners that told me I would be just fine as long as they were there. Nancy, the woman, and her partner were faithfully cleaning the mortar off the old handmade brick and saving it onto pallets. And then also my friend Bruce Wood, some of you know him as the leader of Bring Urban Recycling to Nashville today. And he also would go with me there so that I could study this old architecture, a train shed like a cathedral. Yes, and the sign, that sign stating the dates of the train shed, Sandra discovered.
Well, I knew nothing about this railroad depot, but in 2020, I was driving down 4th Avenue South behind the Nashville City Cemetery when I saw the sign in a stone wall. I took a photo and only realized when I saw Peggy's painting recently that the sign had been on the front of that old depot. Yeah. AJ Capital developed the site into this, but I found out this week that they saved the sign and moved it to a pool area of the Memoir Wedgwood, their property at 1125 4th Avenue South.
Well, most of us recognize the reservoir on 8th Avenue, just across the road here, is our beautiful reservoir, and that was the famous crack in it where it broke. It attracted my attention in '95. I just was moved by the beautiful brick balustrade going around it and the chiseled, carved brick to create that beautiful effect, seeing the sky. Thank you. Seeing the sky come through the design. At that time, you could just drive up there. It was very isolated. My father, he would check on me when I was up there because it was an isolated place. Now I think you can't drive there. And
there's a fence, yeah.
But you could then, and my father came and checked on me often while I was working there, and he was exploring the crack there.
And the reservoir, constructed 1887 to 89, is elliptical. The wall's 33 feet high, 22 feet thick at the bottom, and 8 feet at the top. It's divided into two sections holding about 51 million gallons. On November 5th, 1912, just past midnight, the wall broke, pouring 25 million gallons of water towards the fairground. There was lots of property loss, but no lives. Tracy told me the crack in the stone was repaired with stone from Fort Negley.
And it still holds water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they're working on it right now. I think half, if somebody can correct me, half of it's empty right now while they're stabilizing the walls. I think we heard that at the top here.
Well, this is the old Father Ryan that was loved by many people with the carved stone work through it, the beautiful brickwork. I really focused in this composition on the fence, to playing around with our focus. You know, as we focus on any one thing, everything else is out of focus, and so I played with that while making that chain-linked fence, and people seem to really respond to that. I hear comments about that a lot. And that focus, that is really the key to Impressionism. When you focus anywhere, everything else is out of focus, and our vision is so living. And that is why a lot of people believe that Impressionism looks so alive, because it is always going in and out of focus.
And there's Peggy at work. Father Ryan was built in 1929 on the grounds of the former Elliston Estate, Burlington. I knew many young men who were students there in the early 60s. Women were not admitted till 1970. The school moved to a larger campus off Franklin Road in 1991. In 2003, the Newhoff Library opened on the new campus, incorporating the original Father Ryan doors and carved stone surround as the entrance. There's a light fixture from the old building hangs inside, and a small stained glass window is displayed in a case there.
This was a quick painting as they were tearing it down, and a banner was hanging from the far new structure saying the future home of Hampton Inn, and which led to my naming it the future home of another chain hotel.
And there it is.
That's owned by the Julia Martin Gallery. Yes, there it is. This is the Omohundra Waterworks, still in operation, still filtering water from the Cumberland River into our faucets. Out of a very beautiful series of beautiful aqua pools inside. It's a beautiful structure, and Sandra and I were separately introduced to this through tours, an environmental tour I was on with children. We went there at the beginning of this week in the summer. We went first to the this water treatment plant and toured it. And when I began painting it, the wind kept blowing my easel over. I was just getting my feel of how to hammer my easels down in the wind, and they fixed a coat hanger on and helped me hold my easel up to a chain link fence. And so it's that sort of help that I have enjoyed from the community through the years.
So chain link fences have been your friend.
Chain link fences are not my enemy.
Well, I took a course called the Citizens Water Academy in 2024 to see where our water comes from and where it goes, but mainly to get inside of Omohundra. As a student, we got a tour of the whole amazing complex, but we're not allowed to take photographs. I guess terrorist fears.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. This is Nolensville's first schoolhouse. Oh, yes, Sandra and I made a field trip and found where it was, beside the old ancient graveyard where some of your ancestors are interred. And I thought it was a barn I was painting, and an old gentleman came by one day and let me know that that was the first one-room schoolhouse where he went first through 12th grade there in Nolensville, and the museum recently confirmed to me that is what that structure was. This is the Castle Tops in Rutherford County. You all might know Castle Gwynn. They now have the coned roofs on them, and I was lucky to get to make this composition while they were still in this early stage, very ancient looking. My sweetheart lived in Rutherford County, and we learned that we could bicycle up 840 before it was open. They just made that wall by dynamiting through the hill, and we're building 840, and we could take our bikes. It was a great pleasure to go up that unopened interstate, and I made that painting.
Isn't it Williamson County?
Rutherford County.
Really?
It is, yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
It was called Castle Gwynn and built from 1980 to 1988. The cones were added in 2004. It's in Arrington, and that is the home of the annual Tennessee Renaissance Festival now.
Yes. Well, this was the Jacksonian. Many of us might remember the Jacksonian was a rock-solid architecture. I met Bill Suave, the man who owns Mid-South Wrecking Company, and he was very sympathetic to the cause of old architecture. He really just took the building apart slowly and salvaged as much material from it as possible. And he also hated the loss of these old buildings that was 5 layers thick of brick, the walls were. It was just an incredible structure to have to lose.
And
it's a Walgreens. Yes, indeed.
just hang on. The Jacksonian 4-story apartment building opened in 1917, built by Charles Cohen and designed by Donald Southgate. The apartments featured hardwood floors, cove ceilings, spacious sunrooms with intricate tile floors, wall safes, and butler's pantries. The kitchens were small, as it was assumed most families would have cooks. In 1927, 3 fully automatic elevators were installed. There were many Jewish tenants, including the owner, who lived in apartment 5A. His family owned the building until 1968, when it changed hands a couple of times. In 1977, it was nominated for an architectural award by Metro Historic Commission. The last owner, John Rochford, salvaged materials and used them when building the Jacksonian condominiums further out West End. Front doors, pediments, bricks, and limestone topping are all from the original Jacksonian.
And this was from inside of the demolition fence. Again, the owner, Bill Suave, the owner of the wrecking company, invited me inside where I could work. He helped me through the years whenever our paths would cross at such sites. He would let me know what he was going to wreck next so I could be sure to paint it. And even in Hillsborough, he held off a whole weekend so I could finish painting the end of the block at Hillsborough Village. And in this case, I got to observe close hand the workmen. It's a common sight when they're tearing the places down and the dust flies up and the smell of that dust and the rubble all looks alike once it's fallen down, and they're hosing it down. And these buildings, to both of us, they become so personal. They're like friends. They're like animals. And so to me, each time I see it, it's like an animal is being put to death, and they're soothing it while they do it. That's how it looks every time. So there it is.
And that's what it is now. Yeah.
Oh, I neglected to say Rick Bolsom and Vicki Bolsom befriended me at that time, and they gave me, they bought that first painting of the Jacksonian into their collection. It hung at Tin Angel. They gave me a beautiful reception and an art exhibit there at that time, and I don't know if they're here, but that was a present to them for their graciousness. Rick invited me in.
And they invited you in.
Rick invited me in when we first met to have a martini after working one day. It was a very beautiful time.
And you could see the other businesses that were there at that address. I actually waited tables at Bishop's Pub in the 1970s while working a day job downtown and living across the street in the modest 1940s Park Circle apartments where Maggioni's now stands. So they were torn down too.
This was my first train shed painting in 1991. Jim Hubler bought it a few years later into the Tennessee State Museum where it is. So it was just an incredible single span, the longest single span gabled shed in the country, one of the 3 largest in the world. It was really a jewel that we lost when we did lose it. And it had a virgin pine roof, very sturdy wood roof, and it sheltered many people. My father arrived there in the beginning of World War II to be inducted into the Marine Corps. There are a lot of stories that our families have of that train shed when it was operating. And then the homeless people took shelter there. Those are a couple of homeless people that I depicted that took shelter under the shed. A train came carrying a long line of Army Jeeps whilst I worked. This was in '91. So I named the place the Army Train because it seemed like so much of our money was going into the Army and not into saving our beautiful old buildings.
Yep.
Yes.
And there's what it looked like, and the length of the span, 250 feet by 500 feet.
This was in '96. I was able to get under the shed with the assurance of James, Vietnam War veteran. He lived in the escalator that was opposite this one, the one that was behind me there. It was a hollowed out escalator that he made his home. And he told me as long as he was there, this was an isolated area, that no mischief would come to me, and that the hotel actually paid him a little bit to look out over the place. And he made that escalator his home. I've got a song about it. He hung a red brocaded carpet over where the panel was gone that was his doorway, and he had a little stoop, and he had a little broom. He would brush the place, kept the place clean, and he had a little kitten. And I understand that's actually where the infamous fire broke out, was in his escalator. I don't believe he said it. Some people blamed him, but I can't believe that. But the fire caused the hotel to evacuate people, and that was the beginning of the end of the hope of saving the train shed, because at that time they had to decide to take the roof off, and then the beams were very strong. They were hot iron riveted, but they did begin to deteriorate at the time that the roof was taken away, and then in 2001 it was dismantled. And this is what's that? Oh, I see. I see. I didn't realize that. Hit by cranes.
Trains.
Oh, trains. Oh.
I know at least 3 times that they were hit by derailed trains.
Oh, God.
Are you Mr. Coates? Yes, sir. I'm glad to see you. He knows all things trains. And so I had, for a long time, I had kind of discredited this painting to myself, because I had altered the perspective so much, just try to squeeze. That was very distorted. And because of that, I had completely lost faith in this painting. Mark Neal is a man who's collected a lot of my paintings. He collected that. And I didn't think about it again until recently. And I realized, yes, that is kind of oddly distorted, but I still now am proud of the painting. I've got some of them.
Are there 2 more Jeeps in the corner there?
Oh, well, I'm not sure. I can't remember what those are. They might be,
Trucks.
or they could
Okay.
just be trucks.
Okay.
These folks are I'm not sure either. I really did paint it though, but he's at a trash can, and I'm not sure what he's doing. I think that he had all of his limbs, but that's the train reflected in a water puddle, and that's of course yes, I don't know. And this was my opportunity to paint the very last of it. I didn't realize that I could get up on that porch behind the hotel. I thought somehow I wouldn't be allowed to, and so I didn't manage to get up there until they were removing the very last gable from the shed, and so I got to at least paint that before. I think right after I painted it, up it went, and it was gone.
This painting's out front, if you want to take a look at it.
Yes,
Also,
thank you.
Didn't you mention to me that the hotel was paying the homeless veteran
Yes,
to
they were.
watch out underneath there?
James, the escalator man, he was paid by the hotel to help watch out. There were very generous homeless camps. There was a homeless camp of people who invited me to have lunch with them in the far corner of the shed. And the homeless people are often very generous. And this is framed with wood from the roof of the train shed.
Oh, and you can see that
Yeah.
out there. Yeah. There it is today, parking lot.
This was saved. It was on Nolensville Road. It was imperiled at the time that I painted it. There are some homeless people here, and inside is a hobo graffiti, and I enjoyed working there, and I like all things hobo.
And this was rescued and repurposed by Collier Engineering for their offices. They also recently received a commendation from Metro Historic Commission for their work on Sunnyside in 2025.
This is a collapsed building on 2nd Avenue. It had been many years earlier under the bridge establishment. We have with us, Charlie Fenton is with us here today. We're so glad. This is Charlie Fenton when he was actively engaged making wonderful establishments along 2nd Avenue. And but this was many years after the under the bridge had collapsed, and it had been a repairs and sheet metal. And NES, these gentlemen here, dynamited too close. He's holding his hand up, oops, is he saying, had dynamited too close and collapsed the building. The owner, I had just one weekend to paint that when they were going to have to collapse it. They were going to have to demolish it, and it wasn't anything that the owners wanted, but it had to happen.
Well, and there's Charlie demonstrating with a sign saying Save 2nd Avenue. Charlie had first run Main Street Cafe and Goodies Warehouse that up in the 200 block of 2nd Avenue. The Goodies building was destroyed by fire in 1985. Under the bridge was a club he founded in November of 1984, and it was, I couldn't get an old picture with it, but it was the other, to the, if you were standing on 2nd Avenue, it was to the right of the bridge. I think I'm right.
Is that right?
Okay. It opened in November 1984, and in July 1985 he had to close as the air conditioning was not functioning. My friend Tommy Goldsmith remembers playing under the bridge with the Jug Band, Peter Rowan, and the Diesel Boys. I'm not sure if it reopened, but in January 1986, Fenton opened Windows on the Cumberland at 112 2nd Avenue in the Market Street Emporium building. And then Peggy had at least one art exhibit there.
That's that painting.
And that painting was in that newspaper picture I found.
Yes.
And that's what it looks like today. It's now under the John Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge.
Oh, this was the last thing that it was the Community Baptist Church at Elliott and Douglas, catty corner to Zany's back there. This was built in 1890 by the Ryman architect, Hugh Cathcart Thompson. It was beautifully built. It was a situation where the congregation could not keep up the repairs, and they wanted out from under that responsibility, and so they sold it. It was hotly debated in the community what would happen to this building. The community, as well as the congregation, enjoyed the sweeping lawn, had a big sweeping lawn around that corner, and all week and weekend long the people would use that grassy area. And the developer had said when he bought it that he would save the building, but in fact, as I was painting it one evening came the machinery of destruction, and without warning they did demolish it. This is in the Barton Audrey Campbell's collection. There's a little piece of brick somewhere embedded from that old handmade brick. Yes. Oh, and the
perspective.
Well, the perspective. Thank you, Sandra. When I am out working, any tilt of the head will change the line. I will be sitting there, turn my head this way and that way. Which direction does that line go when I'm trying to draw and paint? And so that leads to distortion that I actually like to create. This was truly a straight tower, but it ended up, and Van Gogh, of course, did that famously, and he ushered in expressionism by doing that distortion.
And Van Gogh's your favorite?
Van Gogh's my favorite.
Yeah.
Monet's a close behind. This was the original structure from this perspective without the added wing. That wing had been added later. And so this has the community. I painted a lot of the community figures in there because they were very full of consternation as it became clear that the building was going to be torn down.
And there's the Glen Levin Presbyterian Church, and they moved out Franklin Road next to Glen Levin Mansion in 1963. They took with them a Tiffany stained glass window that had been donated to the church by Jesse Overton.
So the church was called Glenlevin before it was at the Glenlevin farm?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, back then, there may not have been anything between the church and the mansion. There were other properties, I'm sure, but yes, it was. And that's what it looks like today.
This was the famous Ackland house. It was often called the hippie house. That's how I first learned it was called the hippie house in the mid-'80s. It was a house full of very vibrant community for many decades. And I knew a lot of people who lived there, movers and shakers, environmentalists, and my friend Peter Speltz lived there, and I believe Paul Slentz and his wife Monty lived there, and it was a very beautiful house full of activity. Probably this is called a four-square house, we learned, and yes, there was a lot of activity. I was very glad to get to paint it before Belmont made way with it.
Well, and the 30s through the 60s, it was owned by the Nathan Martin family. At least one daughter attended Ward Belmont. Then it and two adjacent homes were later owned by Delois Wilkinson, a doctor, civil rights activist, and mother of artist Carlton Wilkinson. She lived at 1504 Ackland. She passed away in 2005, and that may be when Belmont acquired the three properties. In the 1980s, like Peggy, I remember calling it the hippie house. It was home to many young people who were activists, like she said, involved in homeless outreach, anti-nuclear causes, and environmental issues. Paul Slentz was one of those residents. He became pastor of the 61st Avenue United Methodist Church, serving a mostly unhoused congregation. After retiring, he began the Creation Care Ministries, hoping to save our planet and encourage environmental justice. And there it is, part of Belmont today.
Rick Balsam, who had Tin Angel just about a block up West End, he let me know that Bandyland was closing, and maybe I could get down there. I was able to get down there and paint this place before it did close.
And she captured Mac in the doorway. We all remember Mac. And I mostly remember it as Candyland. That's when I went there most frequently. My favorite order was chicken salad sandwich on wheat toast and a caramel nut sundae. And that's it today. There is going to be some kind of development. I'm not sure what.
And the Byrite was there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This was the original powerhouse that created the power for the old General Hospital down by the river. And when they were developing that area, I wanted to paint this. It was across from the Hermitage Cafe. I learned that it was going to be saved, but I wanted to paint it anyway. And what do you know? I showed up one day and it was half collapsed, where they had dynamited too close to it. Again, even though it was in the contract that it would be saved, it was not able to be. This fire chief, he was enamored of the painting. It's in his collection now.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
yes.
And there's some pictures of it standing, and then after collapse, they started to build something new around that old smokestack.
Oh, this is the community, this is the Charlotte Avenue Church of Christ. Thank you. On 46th Avenue, I painted there for maybe a couple of years, two different perspectives of this beautiful architecture before it did finally get demolished. It was hotly debated. The community wanted very much to save that property. Charlotte Avenue all along there is full of old architecture, and unfortunately, this is not among them, but it was at that time. And it was, again, an example of the congregation wanting to be out from under the repairs that were, it was hard to keep repaired, and they wanted to sell it. And some of the members let me know that they did not want it to be turned into a theater or anything like that. It had been their house of worship for so long. They did not want to see it become anything else. And so they did finally sell it. It was for sale for a long time. And what else would I say about it? Something, but go ahead.
That's good. Well, there's another one.
Oh, yes, my brother owns this one. There's the for sale sign. Yes, there was something I was going to say.
Well, I actually put this little detail in here, just another example of how detailed Peggy really is with painting every brick and every little architectural detail.
Oh,
She has
thank
taught me a lot about bricks.
Oh, thank you.
And brick patterns. Yeah, I've learned a lot doing this with her.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot working with you, Sandra. Yes, ma'am.
Now, there's an old picture when the congregation was thriving. Yeah. And then while it was still in one piece, and then as it was being torn down. And now it's housing.
I guess what I would just add at this point, that it is a pity that in our society, just people are thrown against people and arguing over these properties, whereas if the properties could be not just the responsibility of one owner, but if there were only government monies that would help keep the property up, as in other countries. Yes, Gina.
Preaching to the choir.
Okay, that was the comment that didn't need to be made. Go ahead.
No, I'm glad you did.
But Sandra told me already. Good luck.
Saying that we all feel this way.
Yes.
So.
This was a cottage. I enjoyed a blessed year living here at the edge of Radnor Lake State Park. And this is where I met my landlady then, Audrey Campbell, who's become my dear friend. Audrey's here with us, and she and Bart have collected many of my paintings, and this one is one of them, and it was a pleasure to live. I had driven by the cottage for years thinking, oh, whoever lives there is really lucky. And then I got to be that lucky one for about a year.
And then,
I'd like to mention also that Morel is here, and she grew up in that.
Oh, my goodness.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this is a picture of the home that I grew up in. This is a picture taken in about the early 1960s.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, you were very lucky.
Yeah, this was built by Morel's father, Lee Ena, and she and I met in 7th grade at Overton High School, and she sent me that picture so I could put it in the show.
This was one of the first houses built in Davidson County. Lois Riggins Ezel, when she was the director of the State Museum, and it was imperiled at that time, commissioned me to paint this for the State Museum. It's in the State Museum now, the McCampbell House. I really loved that brick wall. I really loved focusing. I walked around it for many hours trying to decide, and I just kept deciding on this spot where I could focus on that beautiful algaed, mossed brick wall and all the
This side here.
that
Yeah.
side there. Yes, ma'am.
And here's some pictures of it before and after. They took it back to the federal look. It was built around 1805, but was purchased and saved by an individual in 2015, Alexandria Honeycutt. And she restored it with the help of Allergord Architects. There's a great article about the house and restoration on Historic Nashville website.
This is Silverdine. It was on Main Street in a terrible state for quite a long while, but I still love the way a ruin looks, and I'd had my eye on it for years, and it came up on the Nashville 9, Historic Nashville's Nashville 9, and that spurred me to go and paint it. And whilst working there, this is when I was living in that cottage, and it was finally torn down even when I was working there. I met a neighborhood boy, young man, who was graduating. A very affable young man was graduating. You can hardly see him there. He's kind of invisible, but he was a very proud graduate of the beautiful high school down the road there on Main Street.
Well, I found this the most interesting thing to do a deep dive on. It was built around 1855 and was occupied by Finn's descendants, the Williams and Phillips families, until 1930, when Eugene Phillips sold to Pearl Krim, who ran an inn. She seemed to be in trouble with the law on several occasions. In 1931, for alleged sale and possession of liquor. In 1951, and just quoting the newspaper, for maintaining a bawdy or assignation house. It was called a public nuisance, and Ms. Krim, a professional law violator. Martin Pubis's family owned the property from the 60s on. Main Street Salvage operated there from the 70s until a fire in 2006. And there's a great video on Peggy's website about this property, and the State Museum actually salvaged some of the interiors. They got a staircase and other elements from inside. And then I talked to Jim Hoogler this week, and even more interesting, this was a copy of the Hermitage, supposed to be an exact copy. Well, somebody out on Woodmont Boulevard copied Silverdene. And Jim told me that the State Museum owns a dollhouse that's a replica of this house on Woodmont. So yeah, but that's where Silverdene was.
Well, this is the beautiful Hillsborough Village that is dear to many of our hearts, and the Peabody boot store. In the mid 1980s, I had lived for a while in the Belmont neighborhood, and during the art
Village Sidewalk Art Show.
Thank you. I was happy to participate as a young woman with just a few pieces to my name, and this was the alley that I would seek out to hang my work on the nails that came out from the wall, and it was a very lively time. That was the Village.
Well, and that show went on for over 20 years and was instigated. It was started by David Akeda, who owned the House of Bamboo. And after he retired, it only went on another couple of years. But I had a shop in Hillsborough Village from 1998 to 2019 and was deeply saddened to first watch the Pancake Pantry block get demolished and then this block. Troy Horner, who owned the Peabody Shoe Repair that had been his family's business for years, is now operating out in 100 Oaks. Yeah. So that's what it looked like long ago. I was busy working. I didn't take any pictures during the time. So I didn't get a picture of it when it was Peggy's painting.
Back up the next block. McClure's.
Yeah, McClure's and
Yes,
Woolworths and all that was another block.
yes.
And then this was,
Yes, Audrey took this picture when it was, the painting was just in progress. And Bill Suave he called his work off for an entire weekend at the Wrecker so that I could finish this painting. And when it was in this state,
I did take pictures that day. So again, we were crossing paths.
yes, many times.
And that's what it looks like today.
And that's the little block in Toto I managed.
The other end of the block where Zeitgeist was, and Manuel and I are convinced that Edwin Keeble designed that corner. And Manuel tried to get H.G. Hill to save that corner and build around it, but that didn't happen. That's an old picture, and then today.
This is still there, thank heavens. At this time, was able to paint the it had never been touched. So it's got this patina of age on the stone, and that was very enjoyable working there. I just needed to get to the woods and take a break, and that's where I went.
And those are some pictures my dad took back in 1939.
When he was proposing to your mother?
Well, just they were dating.
Yeah. And how young the woods are.
Yeah,
Oh,
and that's today.
yes, it's had the patina cleaned off, but it'll come back.
It'll
so.
come back.
Oh, this was, I was, just after a long illness, I was driving by and I saw this stump. I was just getting back in action and I saw this tree stump and it mortified me. And then I soon learned that the community had lost their battle for that ancient magnolia tree and that soon that would be torn down. I was just getting back with it at that time. So I was able to do this painting in about a month before they tore it down. Oh, and it was, only recently was that painting named, Sandra named it. She called it the tree stump, and I hadn't never yet named it. And so the tree stump is perfect because an artist will want to call the attention to something that might be overlooked in a painting. So this painting is now called the tree stump.
And there's a picture of the tree. It won the 2010 Big Old Tree Award. And then
The tree killers came up. I, with my palette of paint, got accused right away of being the graffiti artist, but they weren't going to prosecute me. But anyway, I didn't do it.
and that's what it is now, more housing.
This was the Printer's Alley downtown. Sandra and I made a field trip just yesterday because we couldn't quite determine. I had it in my mind that they'd taken the fire escape and everything. I had it in my mind that they had torn it down. I guess that I was wrong because they actually did save this facade. They saved it. In fact, we learned that they uncovered that some of that brickwork in my painting. You can see to reveal the old brick. This is newer brick that they dismantled to find the older brick under it, and they dismantled this cheap sort of. It was beautiful though, but they dismantled it to reveal these beautiful columns of stone underneath it. But they did, however, build the huge skyscrapers up above it that made this wall disappear and just kind of crowded the whole thing. So it was a win and lose situation.
And I am putting on my bucket list to get myself a camera or a phone with a wide-angle lens. I could not get a decent picture that looked like Peggy's. So, but they built apartments or condos or
Yes,
hotel
and
above.
a hotel, I think. Yes.
It had been, the space had been empty above there before.
Yes. This was lost. My friend named it a clown house. Josephine Foster said, "Oh, it looks like a clown house because of the great awning there." And so I did make up a song, Bozo Old Blue Clown House. So there was a songwriter who dwelt in his big blue van around there, and it all just kind of dovetailed together for me to call the whole thing Bozo Old Blue Clown House. He helped me maneuver my painting situation from the edge of the property where the property owners didn't want me there anymore. And he made it clear, oh, you can paint on this narrow strip of grass between the sidewalk and the road, and it doesn't change your perspective that much. And he was so right. He was so concerned for me. The homeless people are very generous by and large. And so he took my part and assured me he knew where I could stand without being run off.
Yeah. And
Audrey made this picture as it was in progress. I've enjoyed many hours with Audrey talking about my work in progress.
And the original house is 1906, but then Randy Rayburn opened Tavern on the Row in 1985. It was the first restaurant on Music Row, followed by Nine Point Mesa, who brought Mexican food. Toucan, managed by Hoyt Hill, added live music, as did Sammy B's, and finally Figlios was the last restaurant there. And now they left the tree.
This was Sullivan Tower. It was a beautiful, beautiful tower. It was imploded. I learned about it from the Nashville 9, I think, and came down, was able to do that much of it. The policemen have always been my friends.
And my friend Bonnie Beneke took the picture of Peggy and the police officer.
Is she here?
Yep.
Oh.
There it is. It was built in 2 stages, the 2-floor building in 1941 and the 9-story tower in 1953. And there's an Art Deco detail that Bonnie also took. I never really got to take a good close look at the building. I was still working all the time. There it is today. Part of Nashville Yards.
Yes. We were sorry to lose the international market, the old home site where I had many meals as a Belmont student. Yes, I've got there's a little arrow I painted in that sign marquee there pointing where their new place was going to be.
Oh. Well, the International Market opened just months after I bought my house in Belmont Hillsboro. Now telling how many meals I ate there as a poor social worker. Later, when I opened Pangea at 2011 Belmont Boulevard, it was my neighbor, and I got to know Patty even better. For a while, she had a gift shop next door to Pangea, and that's where the new International Market lives now. That's where the old one was, and there's the new one.
Well, this is a very much bemoaned JJ's Market. It was a lovely market, a little store on this side, and beautiful rooms for performance and study and visiting on the other side. It was just a much loved place, and it was beautiful brickwork, beautiful old brickwork. And then this had a cute corner here and an obtuse corner here, and when those, just by virtue of being a larger than 90-degree angle, that design would naturally be created. You'll see it all over, I guess even in new buildings and especially in old buildings.
Mm-hmm.
It's very beautiful.
In the back was, at this time, was Local Color and Midtown Galleries. There's JJ's, inside and out.
Yeah.
Where Midtown Gallery was originally Sunshine Grocery, and then, like I said, Local Color and Midtown, and then demolished, and one of the reasons we're getting demolished. Yeah.
It's wonderful to get married, though.
This is what it looks like today, and it's so similar to what was there. Why did they tear it down?
Yes, I wonder.
Yeah, I think there was originally a development of some sort planned, but it didn't happen.
Well, this was just about a block down the road stood this old Victorian house in beautiful, impeccable condition. It had a tiled mosaic porch. I have a homeless person is sketched there, and this was a friend of mine seated somewhere. I didn't get to finish painting him. It was demolished before I could finish it. And it was very beautiful balustrade with carved, sculpted brick to create that balustrade. And there was its sister house across the street. They were both demolished, and they looked very odd there. In fact, surrounded by the towers they were surrounded by. Audrey made this photograph of the drawing before I painted it, and I like to draw it exactly so that then when I go to paint my painting, I can only have to think about what color is that. I don't have to think about where does it go because I have it totally mapped out.
Well, and I love the sketches because it just shows how detailed Peggy is.
Oh,
I
thank
mean,
you.
every brick.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
Yeah, it's,
Was that used as an architect's office at one point? Taylor and Crabtree, Bruce Crabtree?
yes, 1950s through 1980s.
Yes.
Atlantic Records in the 90s, and in 1974 nominated for a Preservation Award. But that's what it is now.
This was when the pandemic first broke out. I had noticed next door to this was a collapsed building, and I knew all three of these buildings on Belmont Boulevard going down to Woodmont were imperiled. And so it was actually a charmed time at the beginning of the pandemic when I could drive without any other cars on the road and come to this place to work. And I love to focus, in this case, on the field of spring flowers coming up. And I want to continue painting more landscape scenarios and as opposed to the, oh yes, I do, I have it here, is this, and there are some things embedded. I have some plants embedded in here from the actual site when I was working. Through the years I've been embedding things from where I'm working into the painting.
Well, and the photograph is, I stumbled upon her working that day.
Yes.
Because I was also out during COVID, driving wherever I wanted to and stopping and taking pictures, so.
Yes, and that was at the corner there of that same campus was this beautiful yellow brick house. It's out front, and my friend just happened to be in the neighborhood at a time. I was a little bit threatened at that time by an individual there, and my friend Lee Steenheis came and sat there on the front porch, so I could feel a little relieved and work there.
They can be scary.
No.
And the house had been owned by the McMurray family until Cumberland House, which started in 1961, and eventually on that campus were also Crockett Academy and RIP, or Regional Intervention Program. There's the house that Peggy was painting, and that was what, the day we were both there, this is what the building in between the yellow house and the brick house looked like. But now it's the new home of the Community Foundation.
And it's 3 till 2, I think.
I know.
This
We got a 3-minute warning. If we still have the gold rush and a few other things to go through. If you want to hang out, if you need to get up and leave, you won't hurt our feelings.
That's right. We're hurrying. This was a Hermitage Cafe. I didn't get to finish painting this before they tore it down. They didn't tear it down, what am I saying? But I didn't get to finish painting it. But this was the beginning sketch of the Hermitage Cafe. Yes.
And that's what it looked like.
Yes.
But today, it's Mr. J's at the Hermitage Cafe.
Yes, it's got that written. Where is that written there? Somewhere. Oh, I got the speaker.
Yeah, at the
where?
Hermitage Cafe.
Yes. Is that what that, yes.
Yeah.
This is the Merritt Mansion. It is not torn down, but I enjoyed working here before they moved it. When everyone who passed me by said, "How are they going to move that?" I don't know, but they did. The developers moved it just several yards, maybe not even a football length away. But the poor trees got lost, and this tree had the vision of a lord suggested in it, and I just enjoyed working there, creating a sort of a landscape.
Well, it's a beautiful house, and I guess they moved it so they own the whole it was a large piece of property, and that way they can put something big on one part of it and move the house over to the edge. So that's a photograph of it. This was Tyree and I were at an art crawl in 2021 and got to see it at dusk and go inside. There it is, moved over to the side.
This is the Prim Owen farm in Brentwood that was endangered. I'd read about it being endangered. I think my sister-in-law drew my attention to it. And so I was able to do this painting before it was actually saved. The the cooking house was lost, but these slave cabins were spiffed up and saved, and Sandra will show
And
you.
there it is. And they added 9,600 square feet.
It's very expensive. This is a gold rush. Yes, I have that little canvas is here in front, and so it is. Yes, it's a little more downtrodden now. They haven't yet followed through with their
Yeah, talk about
intent.
the windows.
Oh well, yes, I did. I loved these window panes. Were all very resplendent in the sunshine, variously covered and colored, and that attracted my attention. The fact, of course, that it was in looks like a ruin, and I do love to paint ruins, and so I worked there, and we found it.
And
Yes.
there's the Gold Rush. Opened in 1974 by Keith Josie and Walter Harwood on a shoestring. Friends, including me, helped nail barn wood obtained from a sawmill to the walls. The stereo came from my friend Janice Eitland's apartment. The name also came from her after she spotted an article for Neil Young's album After the Gold Rush on one of the newspapers covering the windows while we worked. They expanded it from one room to 3 in 1976, taking over Betty Boop's vintage clothing store. Walter unfortunately was killed in an auto accident in December 1979, and Keith remained the owner for many years, serving the famous bean roll. In 2016, new owners remodeled, smoking was not allowed, and a healthier menu was put in place. Business did not go well. and it closed in 2019. Yeah. The building was originally a hotel or boarding house, then a series of many restaurants. Now, see this crystal chandelier? And interesting story. Right before the Gold Rush, it was the Ritz Cafe, which was a French bistro owned by Tupper Saucy and Mary Walton Caldwell. And they had a crystal chandelier, which I believe is the same one. Yeah, and they said they got it from the Lowe's Theater, which had burned. And there, I found a picture of the Lowe's after the fire, and there's the chandelier. Yeah.
Researcher extraordinaire is Sandra.
Anyway, there is the plan for it, and here's where it stands right now.
Yes.
Now, in the background, you see the back of the Lee Apartments, which were formerly the Robert E. Lee Apartments. Walter had an apartment there, and he could just walk out the back door, work, and go to his apartment, and turn around, come back the next day.
This is the Matlock home that had attracted me for so long, driving down Franklin Road. Our mid-century homes, there's so many of them being demolished right and left these days. Bill Matlock, who grew up, he's here today. He grew up, he saw this, his father built this home. He could tell us a little bit about, I wish you would tell us about the story of the iron girders that were in place when your father was building this, and you have the vivid memory of.
Yes. He manufactured 18-wheeler trailers, and so everything he did was like really heavy duty. And I mean, I even remember before the home was built that the I-beams were laying just out in the yard, and I was like such a little kid that I would roll the acorns down the I-beam. Right? So when the people came to go to demolish this house, they ran into something that they did not expect.
stumbled on it, which was a little before Peggy, it looked like somebody was trying to refurbish it.
Well, what they did, they didn't ever get a building permit, and codes in Oak Hill are
Yeah.
very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And so because they did so much structural change to the house, that it had to be demolished because they changed it too much without getting a permit.
And look at those floors and the front door, just, yeah, those living room windows, great.
Yes.
And it's an empty lot today.
Yes. Yes, it is sad. I miss seeing that house. So this was Monell's by the restaurant. Monell's was the last thing this building was. And I felt like I was going into a medieval restaurant where an inn where travelers would sit with strangers and eat whatever was offered to them, is how it felt to me, in the cavernous inside of it with the antique all around. And a lot of people really bemoaned the closing of Monell's there. The employees who worked there, they were sick about it. They actually loved working here with this great, deep, sweeping lawn, and the children waiting for their tables, families waiting for their table. The children could play out in front of it. It was a very beautiful place. It was greatly missed when it closed.
My husband and I were there, one of the nights when we painted.
I enjoyed working there. I did. I would go in.
We stopped and chatted.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sure we did. Thank you. And the airport immediately ran me off. The very first day they took possession of it, I could not finish the first painting. They said no. And so I sat outside, did the second outside the gate, outside the road, and did the gate as much as I could before it was demolished. And I complained roundly to the people taking that gate down that they could not take that antique gate wall down. And the man, he had a salvage shop in Shelbyville, the head of the crew, was scratching his head looking at me that this isn't an antique wall. And he says, you know a runway's coming through here. He talked me down, but I kept working. But it was an antique wall.
Well,
He
and
was
there
wrong.
it is. The Colmere Mansion was built in
We're
it.
gonna have a presentation on coal that's about this time next year, that originally built coal.
Excuse me?
Oh, you're going to give a presentation. Mr. Coates is going to give.
Coal.
Oh, very good.
Okay,
We'll
all right.
look forward to that. Yes, indeed.
Well, this was destroyed but the wall was there then.
Yes, the wall was there
The
then.
mansion was rebuilt by the daughter in 1931, and in 1940, the city purchased the property, get this, planning to demolish it for airport expansion in 1940. Instead, some politicians established the Colmere Club. It functioned from 1948 till 1973 as a country club. And then New Orleans Manor, and finally Monell's. Yeah.
This is the fire hall. It was the community did try to save this, but there were no good answers put forward after Mark Lambert ran a very charming vintage auto restoration shop here, and it was very well loved in the neighborhood. He fell ill, and he was a very charismatic personality in that neighborhood, and before he passed on, he sold this to the developer. I think he lives in the neighborhood, the man who was intending to save the old architecture but found it too expensive, which is just a very common story. The developer will intend to save it and run into the problem of expense. And so after a 3-month reprieve during which he had a demolition permit out, and the community put up a fuss, the council gave it a 3-month reprieve, and I was able to paint this painting at least, but nothing else was able to come of that 3 months, and it was promptly demolished.
Reflections.
Oh, there are some reflections in this. That's a demolition permit. That's actually the window down. It was actually a second floor. It was a deep, huge building. It went down deep, and that was down in the back of the hill was this window on the other side, and these are just reflections in the glass. Oh, and the brickwork.
Peggy's brick detail, and my picture of the brick detail.
Yes, Sandra's got a book with the kinds of brickwork there are, some of them. And this, what we determined was this building had the Flemish cross, where every other row was just straight lines of oblong, but every other row had the brick put in short ways, and it created a pattern where the short bricks were underneath a whole brick, and then in the next line of short bricks they were underneath the seams, and that created a pattern that I found very hard to paint, that I kept trying until they tore it down.
Yeah. And there's pictures. It was built in 1936. Before it, there was a building there, Fire Hall number 13, that was built in 1909. But before the 1909 building, it was a volunteer fire department in the 4800 block of Charlotte, probably at the old livery barn known as Richland Stables. And then at the bottom is the new Fire Hall number 13, which is right behind the one Peggy painted,
Yes.
which is now a parking lot.
Yes. Oh, I think this is the last
is
one.
it.
What an amazing
Right.
stalwart audience we have here. This was my famous year, 2004, of places I could not finish painting before they tore them down. I took a break from this. I had seen no sign of anyone tearing anything down for maybe, I think, months here when I'd gotten this far along and was poised to really dive in and paint that. I was really looking forward to it. There was just, I had no warning anything might happen. I went one day to start my work at my nails, and that very day the building was collapsed. And Paul Ramsauer sent me that, neighborhood sent me that.
Picture in the
Yes, he
bottom
sent that.
corner.
I was crestfallen.
Yeah,
Yes, so.
we're done.
You all are wonderful to stay so long. We just thank you all. Oh, Jean, thank you.
Yeah. Any questions or comments? What did I get wrong?
I've got 2:30 meeting and I can't start.
Thank you, Terry. This is Mr. Coates is going to give us more future discussions. He's the all-men trains. Thank you. Eric has come. Eric is the owner of Ackland House. His wife, Beth, has paid me the most money for a painting that I appreciate so much from the retired postal worker.
I think Jean has a question.
I'm curious about how long it takes you to complete a picture on site.
Yes, well, sometime when I'm going, usually when I'm going about it in my own way, it can take months. But if I know that something is just about to come down, it'll put a fire under me. I've done the one painting in a weekend, and I did the other painting in a month. And if I have to, I will do my best with the time I have. But if I'm at my own leisure, it will take me a while. But it's actually the parameters of working out in the open, really, it creates the parameters that makes me work. I cannot work at home. I just will find any and everything to do before. I've got to do this first and then I'll work. I've got to do this first. So the nature, the sunset, the demolition crew push my work, and I really am able to
Impending
work.
rain.
Impending rain, absolutely. Yes.
Do you ever take pictures of what you're going to paint first, so in case you get started and it falls down, you've at least got something to do?
Yes, I do. I have I store those pictures, and I just don't very often turn to them, but
Yeah.
sometimes I will.
I think only as needed.
Yes, as needed, I do. Yes, ma'am, I do. And it's the community has really taken me down this path. The community response to my work when I'm out working has really led me down the road I'm on. Oh.
Thank you all so much for your patience. I'll
Yes,
say
yes, Eric, did you have a?
we have,
Just wanted to praise Peggy for out there in the snow.
Oh,
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
oh,
with the mittens and the gloves.
yeah.
thank you, Eric. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Thank you all.
Believe me, she's got so many more paintings and so many more stories. We ran through this, what, 3 times?
3 or more times.
And the first time it took us 2.5 hours. And so we both had to rein ourselves in.
Yes, yes, especially me. Thank you, Sandra. Yes, Sandra's we're going to collaborate next, if you will, on rural paintings, the more rural farmsteads. That's up
Well,
next.
and I'm going to try to find somebody that will give Peggy a retrospective of her paintings
Oh, thank you.
somewhere. And I think, I mean, this is just a small sampling of what she's got. It's overwhelming.
Oh, thank
And
you,
then
Sandra.
a lot of pieces are owned in the community.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Sandra.
you.
Thank you all, beautiful history class and guests. Thank you all.